Bill Crane, a veteran political analyst and a commentator who joins us from the Atlanta area in Decatur, Georgia. Bill, what do you think about this indictment? Will it ultimately help or hurt Donald Trump?
Both. I've said before on CGTN, and I'll say again, I do not believe Donald Trump can win a general election, and I do not believe that he will be the Republican nominee. But it's not going to be any one act or one indictment. It's going to be the culmination of and the accumulation of all of this cacophony of legal maneuvers by his attorneys that successfully keep him from going to prison, but don't continually stop him from new indictments, new charges, whether it's the case in Georgia related to trying to overturn the 2020 election, or the case in Washington with Congress about the attacks on the Capitol during the certification of the presidential election results in January 6th of 2021. There's more to come. There's another New York case against his businesses for financial misreporting. So it's the accumulation of all these things that ultimately, I believe, will take him out of the race. That said, Donald Trump has a core base of supporters, and in the early stages of the primaries of the Republican nomination, he'll win by plurality many states, probably Iowa, certainly looks good in New Hampshire. But part of that is also on the Republican side, telling your viewers in Asia, our system is a little different. You have to win your party's nomination, and then you have a general election. As of yesterday, there were 12 announced Republican candidates, including Donald Trump, for President of the United States in 2024.
Well, Bill, let me ask you some of the reaction we've heard from Republicans. Kevin McCarthy, House Speaker, called it a brazen weaponization of power. Now, Trump's former vice president, who's also running for president, said he's troubled by the developments. He said no one is above the law. But he also basically said the DOJ is being politicized, really walking a tightrope here. What do you make of all this?
Well, there's no question that Donald Trump has had more scrutiny, more criticism, more legal reviews, and certainly more prosecutions than any president of the United States in the history of our nation. Two impeachments that did not result in him being removed from office. But there is certainly a belief, and belief matters in politics, that he's being singled out, that the standard and the bar for him is higher. Now, the indictment documents contain information and make allegations that the former president had intent that's clear, and that there's conspiracy involved, not just withholding documents, but knowledgeable with intent, withholding information, and potentially sharing it with those without classification for security. There's an audio tape that we hear that the grand jury heard, that the U.S. Attorney's Office has, of a journalist who was working on an article for Mark Meadows, who was then the chief of staff in the Trump White House, that the president refers to as clearly being classified, and is speaking of it. Whether he shared it with the reporter, we don't know. But the intent, again, like the phone conversation with Georgia's Secretary of State, is very easy for a jury when they can hear it.
And Bill, go ahead, quickly, go ahead.
The cases with Joe Biden, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, or even Mike Pence having secured documents from their time in office don't show that intent. So there is a difference in degree that I think the prosecution can make a strong case for. But again, there are certainly a sizable number of Americans who believe the standard is different for Donald Trump.
And what about the fact that Donald Trump lost two of his lawyers today? They quit. They said it was a logical moment given his indictment. Certainly the optics don't look good when your lawyers quit.
He's had several attorneys all the way back to the 2020 election. The Trump corporate machine eats up and spits them out. Rudolph Giuliani, last I heard, didn't get fully paid for the work that he did for President Trump and to stop the steal work after the 2020 general election. The Trump organization, the Trump White House, the Trump campaign machines use lawyers more like you and I might use a Kleenex tissue. Get what you need out of it and toss it to the side. So I don't take a lot in the attorneys leaving, but his legal team is very seldom a constant.